One thing I'm seeing out there is that for people that are relocating, I mean, the thing to remember is the vast majority of people are still working, right? Teachers, public sector, essential services, everyone's working. And those people are going through standard relocations. And I think that's why you continue to see people buying and selling differently, but continuing to transact. And so for me, you guys have touched on those who are moving, changing jobs, buying and selling, and where maybe the demand falls off a little bit is the people that were loosely preparing to do it this spring are anticipating maybe a change in the news cycle in 4, 5, 6 weeks. And why go out now sort of right in these things if you expect a favorable turnaround in the coming months. So I think that's why you'll see a really dramatic pickup in the market when it starts to become more positive.
I personally feel that I have quite a few clients that are on the fence, ready to jump in as soon as there's positive news. And knowing that if that is my own personal take, that it's likely a ton of other agents feel the same way. I wouldn't be surprised if we actually have a bit of a seller's market as soon as things loosen up. Maybe just for a week or two, as it takes time to get all of those other new listings on the market once people feel comfortable listing their houses. But I do feel excited about what's probably coming, I hope, in the near future. And that's where the investors, as an example, they don't necessarily feel that they have to scoop up something today. But as soon as things start moving, I believe they're all going to be jumping back in with both feet.
So Madeline, I'm going to ask you this question. If you had a client that called you with a beautiful lot that they wanted to sell, they said, Madeline, am I doing it today or am I waiting until the end of April, May, June? It's really putting you on the spot, but and you don't have a crystal ball, of course, but what advice would you give them?
So I would say this is probably the first time in my real estate career where a days on market is not necessarily going to hurt you. The exposure out there, everyone's understanding that things are taking a little bit longer to move. Having said that, again, I think that there's something to be said about what type of buyer your unit is going to attract. If you're potentially a first-time home buyer unit, then I'd say put it on the market right away, because these first-time home buyers are still out there looking. And if anything, they feel like they finally have an opportunity to get in where they're not competing. I do feel that things that are perhaps more attractive to empty nesters, downsizers, anyone who has financial means to potentially carry 2 properties, they aren't necessarily feeling any urgency right now to move if they're already in somewhere where they're comfortable. So if it was that type of product, I might be a little more inclined to push it off a bit, but I would want to get it up there so that it was listed, if I had that crystal ball, a little bit before that big upturn, so that as soon as that upturn happens and people start booking in, my unit can be on the top of everyone's list.
That's great on that side. So Deen and Tabatha, can you each comment, Deen on Waterloo, Tabatha on Hamilton? Why would now, in your opinion, potentially be a great time to be a buyer?
I think the biggest thing is you're not going into multiples like you were a month or 2 ago. Like, the market's still moving, but the rush isn't there like it was.
You know, right now, in my opinion, I'm always confident in what I know today. And I know the market today, and I know that it's still moving. So whether it's listing or buying, or selling or buying, either way, I'm confident in both avenues in the market today. And your house is going to sell, and you have inventory to find a product. I can't promise the market down the road, whether it's going down or up, but I do know what it is today, and it's still a healthy market. So my opinion, obviously highly dependent on the motivation behind transaction. But my opinion is we're still in a great market.
Are any of you comfortable talking about the impact of interest rates in the market today? They're continuing to go down. The Bank of Canada is making an announcement today.
I've been made aware that the Bank of Canada reduced the prime lending rate by 1%. In return, that reduced variable rate mortgages and lines of credit, but fixed rate, from my understanding, did the opposite. I've been told lenders are seeing a turnaround time on a straightforward purchase of more than your typical 5 business days, and refinances taking even longer. So with that being said, though, I mean, there's a lot of support. You just have to make sure that you have a strong agent to guide you through the financing condition and that aspect, or a strong mortgage broker. And at the end of the day, the government's put a lot of money into these situations and into the banks to help support the real estate market.
I do think that what we all want to see is lower fixed rates when this all starts turning around, and hopefully that's what will happen, because I think the idea of the fixed rate going up is concerning to a few people, just on how quickly you can get a mortgage locked in, and how quickly your potential pre-construction, something like that, is actually going to be within that window that you can get a guaranteed rate.
For me, I'm pretty active on the pre-construction side of things, and a lot of developers, their feeling is obviously we're in a bit of a temporary situation here, but there are going to be projects coming to market, starting with the urban towns of Wollaston as early as the end of this week. Knowing that, I'd be curious to know, like, my experiences, I'm getting a lot of phone calls from agents, emails coming in through our sites with people that are very interested to move forward on some of the great projects right now. Are you guys feeling a demand out there from people looking to buy pre-construction? That'd be primarily investors. What would your pulse be on the demand?
I'd say reduced, but still strong. I have some people that would be interested. And then I do have some first-time home buyers that are willing to jump into that market and wait until it's built, which will be a year and a half. But there's definitely still interest there. I think the pricing of those units too is what's going to help. It's not that risky for a seasoned investor, maybe not a new investor, but somebody who's been in the market a little while, for sure.
For me, I find typically, whether it's an end user or investor, price point seems to be at the top of the list. I have investors from the GTA who are now starting to look in Hamilton or Grimsby, Stony Creek, which has been a bit of a hotbed. I find they're just trying to find that sweet spot where maybe they break even on their investment because it's not achievable anymore where they live. So I do have many people being pushed out of the Toronto area. It's finding that right price point, really.
All right, guys, thanks very much for joining us for the market update. I've learned a lot here talking to Madeline, Deen, and Tabatha, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Thanks very much, and stay safe.